Yo, what's happening? This is Champ Focus, and I'm Gambino. Today I'll be talking about UFC 270, Francis Ngannou versus Gane, and I'm gonna try to make this another quick one since the fight started in about 15 minutes. So I'm gonna just start off the top. Francis Ngannou versus Gane. I'm gonna be picking Francis Ngannou. I think Gane is gonna be the more technical fighter, but I don't think it's gonna matter when Francis Ngannou is gonna bull rush him and destroy him. I just can't see 5 rounds of Gane being technical. I think France without having a takedown to to slow Ngannou down. I think Ngannou is gonna bull rush him and just enough an accumulation of his punches, if that is gonna be the winner of this fight. I do see a knockout here, um, and I got Ngannou winning, and he's the champ. He's not the interim champ, and you're getting him at plus odds. I'm going with Francis. Brandon Moreno versus Davison Figueredo. I'm going with Brandon Moreno. Uh, the first fight was very close fight. I think that fight was more of Brandon Moreno being afraid, being annoying of the power that Davison has and has used in his past. Um, but I mean, I just think Moreno is the more versatile fighter here. Davison he's just as capable as Moreno, but he's looking for that knockout. He chases the knockout, and I don't think that's how Brandon Moreno fights. He's a smart, educated fighter who has fought tons of people in the UFC, in and out of the UFC. So has Davison, but I definitely I definitely just prefer Brandon Moreno here. He's going to be the person using head movement. Davison is very stiff. He believes himself to be a god in there, and I think that was his demise in their last fight. The second fight is that Brandon Moreno was longer scared. He had already witnessed the power, and and then I believe that's something that surprised Davison, and he relies too much on his power. So I'm going with Brandon Moreno. Michelle Pierre versus Andre Fiallo. I'm going with Michelle Pierre. It's only because he's very good at managing distance, and Andre Fiallo isn't. His fight against Chris Curtis, he's not capable of finding his jab, and Chris Curtis is just standing right in front of him. Michael Pierre is going to be moving around the whole cage. They both seem to have a bit of a gas issue, so I think Michelle Piero here is going to be outclassing Andre Fiallo, just as long as he doesn't get too wild with it. I'm going with Cody Stamann versus Said Nurmagomedov. I'm going to be going with Said Nurmagomedov. He's the he's going to be the longer fighter here. He's going to be using his range. Cody Stamann, everybody's talking about his wrestling. I think Said's going to deal with that wrestling basically the same way that Jimmy Rivera did. He's going to keep on the outside. Cody's a close range fighter, doesn't really have anything to provide or for a long range attacks. So I'm going with Said Nurmagomedov to take the W here. Michael Morales versus Trevin Giles. This is going to be my Houston dog here. I'm going to be going with Trevin Giles. He's dropping down to 170. Uh, and he looked decent on the scale. He's fought the harder fighters in the UFC. He is the older fighter, the more experienced fighter. So I'm gonna be going with Trevin Giles here. Michael Morales seemed a little too green with his striking, and his he is the more athletic fighter between the two. But I just think Trevin Giles is gonna be too much for this young man. Reoni Barcelos versus Victor Henry. I'm gonna be going with this one's a hard one because the first time around I was definitely thinking of going with Victor Henry. I think a good bet here is yes, this fight goes the distance. I think Victor Henry lasts at least uh, most of this fight, so that's a plus 108 in some places. So I think Raoni Barcelos doesn't get the finish here, and but I'm going with Raoni Barcelos, which is it kills me to kind of say because he's such a heavy favorite, and Victor Henry is. He is a veteran. And he's very squirrely. Um, he's a capable grappler, and he does try to get up. He's high pace, and but Rayoni Barcelos, I just think those leg kicks. That's really what's going to be the difference maker here. His kicks in general. He does have a long range attack, so I'm liking Rayoni Barcelos here. Jack Della Madelina versus Pete Rodriguez. Another difficult fight, even though Jack is such a heavy favorite for a UFC debut. I don't know how would you say that for someone who's making their UFC debut, but and Pete Rodriguez seems to me it seems like it is just as measured as Jack, but makes his reads a little faster. And Jax doesn't mind staying in the pocket, and that's where Pete Rodriguez does his work. So I think one of the better bets for this one would be a. I guess I didn't write it down, but hmm, I don't think this fight goes the distance. So if there's like a under 2.5, I would definitely take that because Jack is just too big of a heavy favorite. Tony Gravely versus Simon Oliveira. I'm going with Tony Gravely here. He's uh he's gonna be the better wrestler out of the two. Let's see what I got here. And he's gonna be the better boxer out of the two. Simon is gonna doesn't have any takedowns. He can be grounded, and I don't see him being the person that takes down submits Tony Gravely here. He is very squirrely as well. Does have a decent cardio. Stays very active, but his wrestling is what I think is what's going to be his letdown. He's going to end up on bottom a lot, and that's going to be his demise. Tony Gravely, I believe, wins this. If not by, I think he wins this by decision, but with control. Matt Frevola versus Gennaro Valdez. I'm going to be picking Gennaro Valdez. Matt Frevola is very game. He likes to stay on the outside. Gennaro Valdez, though, is going to, similar to Francis, he's just going to bulldoze this guy. He's just going to step forward, isn't afraid to stay in the pocket, land his punches. And I just think he's got a bigger heart between the two. And Matt Frevola is just too chinny, while Gennaro is tough. Has got a granite chin. So I'm going with Gennaro Valdez here. Vanessa Demopolis versus Silvana Gomez. I'm going to be picking Vanessa Demopolis. She's going to be the more aggressive fighter between the two. I believe she's fought the better competition between the two. Um, the wrestling is not there, but if Silvana even takes Vanessa down, I think she can pull off a submission from bottom. She's very aggressive. This is one of the fights that I would stay away from, I guess. But yeah, I'm going with Vanessa Demopoulos. Jasmine Jasudavicius versus Kay Hansen. I'm gonna be going with Kay Hansen, even though it's her first time going up in weight to 125. I believe she is the once again has fought the better fighters in her past. Maybe she didn't beat them, but she did give them a run for their money. Jasmine is 32 years old. Um, she's long. Her striking looks very green. Kay Hansen is gonna have the better footwork. Her 1-2 seems a lot cleaner. And Jasmine likes to fight inside the clinch, and Kay Hansen is gonna be the stronger one inside the clinch. So I can't see Kay Hansen getting submitted by Jasmine. So if she doesn't get submitted, she gets the win. And I think if anything, Kay Hansen is the one that gets the submission here. So those are my picks. I got Kate Hansen, Vanessa, Gennaro, Tony Gravely. This fight right here is seems like a trap, the Jack Della fight, but I'm gonna be going with Jack Della. I wouldn't be surprised if Pete gets his knockout though. So if there's an under for that, I would definitely be looking to get that. Reone Barcelos versus Victor Henry. I'm going with Reone. Michael Morales versus Trevin Giles. I'm going with Trevin Giles. Cody Stamann versus Saeed Nurmagomedov. I'm going with Saeed. Michael Pierre versus Andre Fiallo. I'm going with Michael Pierre. Brandon Moreno versus Davison Figueredo. Going with Brandon. Francis Ngannou versus Cyril Gane. Gotta go with Francis the Monster. So those are my picks. And, this is Champ Focus. Let's kill it. Y'all have a good one.